bring in Washington correspondent Jonathan Kersley. Jono, it's hard to overstate just how significant this moment is.
You can mark this date in your calendars as a day that will go down in history. President Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, had indicated earlier today that this was very much about regime change. The nuclear enrichment talks go on that this was about removing the head of the snake in the Iranian regime, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, as well as a number of other key figures that the Israel Defense Forces says they have killed in these strikes. As you mentioned, Iranian TV confirming a short time ago the news that we had been waiting to hear from them after Donald Trump took to social media to claim that Ali Khamenei was dead. Iran state TV announcing, yes, Ali Khamenei was killed in these strikes. Israeli officials had said earlier today his body was found in the rubble. We had seen footage of strikes on his major security compound in Tehran and satellite images of what was left of it afterwards. And there had been reporting by our affiliate here in the United States, Fox News, that intelligence agencies had essentially been waiting for the key figures to gather all in one point. And it seems as though that is exactly what took place. The Israel Air Force has carried out its largest strike it's ever seen, 200 planes, more than 500 bombs dropped in the initial wave. And from the United States point of view, well, it was an attack from air and sea. You had some of the world's largest air carriers involved, the USS Gerald Ford, the USS Abraham Lincoln, in these coordinated strikes alongside Israel, and they have carried out their mission of removing Ayatollah Khamenei, of eliminating him. President Trump took to social media, to Truth Social. That is where he made the announcement of his claim that Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was dead. And he said Khamenei is one of the most evil people in history, is dead. He was unable to avoid our intelligence, and working closely with Israel, there was not a thing he could do. This is the single greatest chance for the Iranian people to take back their country. Going on to say the heavy and pinpoint bombing, however, will continue uninterrupted throughout the week or as long as necessary to achieve our objective of peace throughout the Middle East and the world. It's interesting to note President Trump alluded in that statement to how US intelligence agencies essentially monitored him, tracked him, being Ayatollah Khamenei, before they carried out this strike. Benjamin Netanyahu spoke to his nation a couple of times today. This is some of what he had to say.
We hit out at the tyrant Khamenei. For 3 decades, he has been sending terror with proxies and has made his people miserable, and continue talking about the extermination of the state of Israel. This plan and program no longer exists. This tyrant no longer exists.
The Iranian retaliation continues. What's the latest on that situation, which has really disrupted so much of the region, Jono?
Well, it has. There was retaliation after the first wave of strikes, and then we saw Israel launch further action inside Iran, targeting Isfahan as well as Tehran itself within the last couple of hours. And the Iranian retaliation was widespread. It was Doha in Qatar, it was Bahrain, places where the United States has military bases. The US says that none of its service personnel have been killed or injured and that the damage to its sites is minimal. That site in Bahrain is used by the 5th Fleet of the US Navy. We have seen Iran's retaliation continue, and Iranian state TV has essentially said in response to Ali Khamenei's death that there will be a severe response. They are warning that there will be repercussions for what has been carried out. We know that Iran uses strong language regularly, even not in times of military conflict, but this is now clearly a grave situation for the Iranian regime, and some of that retaliation from Iran, it seems as though, is centred around airports in the Middle East too. Dubai International Airport, Abu Dhabi International Airport, 1 person killed there, at least 7 injured in an incident that happened there. There was also Bahrain's International Airport that has seemingly come under attack from Iran as well. This has been widespread from Iran itself, as state TV warns in the wake of Ali Khamenei's death there will be more to come. So make no mistake, this has been from the United States and Israel, something they say will carry on for weeks, not just days, and it seems as though Iran is speaking the same sort of language. They want retaliation. They want what they are calling revenge for the death of the Ayatollah, Kieran.
Now, the UN Security Council convened. What was the statement there from Iran? Obviously, they're scrambling to get a response on that international stage, but what was the discussion there?
The discussion largely was centred around how the United States and Israel had carried out these strikes. We heard from Mike Waltz, the United States UN ambassador, who described the actions from the US as lawful. Now, that is a key statement from the US ambassador to the United Nations. The United Nations Secretary General was critical of the strikes on all fronts, wanting to see talks resume on the nuclear aspect of issues. And President Trump spoke in a phone call with CBS a short time ago, and it is reported that he has said that he is willing to have these talks resume, even as all of these strikes are carried out right across the Middle East. For its part, while the Iranian regime, through its ambassador, was accusing the United States of breaking international law, of breaching the UN Charter. Let's hear some of what he had to say.
Israel and the United States have attacked Iran. They have violated international law and the Charter of the United Nations. They must be held accountable. So long as this aggression continues, Iran will continue to exercise its inherent right of self-defense.
Now, obviously, having reverberations across the Middle East, Jonathan, what's the reaction to these airstrikes, to the massive intervention by the United States alongside Israel? What's the domestic reaction in the US?
Well, I think this is an issue that Donald Trump has had to walk a fine line with, because so many of the opinion polls here have suggested that Americans want him to see more focused on domestic issues rather than foreign affairs. But today the response has fallen largely along party lines. Many Republicans coming out in support of the president's decision to take this military action. Many Democrats accusing him of bypassing Congress, saying this was an act of war. We heard from New York City's Mayor Zohran Mamdani. I want to be able to bring you his statement if we can. He says today's military strikes on Iran carried out by the United States and Israel mark a catastrophic escalation in an illegal war of aggression. A big statement there from the New York City mayor, going on to say bombing cities, killing civilians, opening a new theatre of war. Americans do not want this. They do not want another war in pursuit of regime change. Democratic Governor of California, Gavin Newsom, he also weighed in, describing it as an illegal, dangerous war that will risk the lives of our American service members and our friends without justification to the American people. But what the United States has done today is remove a leader who has been described as the head of the world's worst sponsor of terrorism, a regime that supported the Houthis, a regime that supported Hezbollah in Lebanon, a regime that supported militias in Iraq, in Syria, and Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, according to state media, is now dead, having gone into power in 1989 and ruled for decades. He's now been removed. But the question so many Iranians and so many around the world will be asking tonight is where to next? We might well have seen celebrations on the streets of Tehran, the capital, today with celebratory gunfire. We've seen protests here in Washington, D.C. We've seen protests around the world against the Iranian regime, particularly in Europe. But really now, this stands as a pivotal moment for the Middle East. Where does Iran go next? Is it going to be the uprising against the regime and the government that US President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have said should happen?